Hello and welcome back to the Wizards Arena. My name is Draymore, and Wizards has announced that they will be banning stuff today again in Standard. Oh my god, shock and amazement, it's still not balanced. They also claim they finally realized that Historic has to get banned. Really? We couldn't have figured that out on our own. And they'll also be addressing Brawl. So without further ado, my fellow Planeswalkers, this is episode 5 of the Banhammer, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that Wizards of the Coast should probably do, some of the stuff they probably won't. First up, for Standard, is Drown in the Loch. I feel like if they think rogues are too good, this is probably the only card they can hit. Rogues overall are solid. No one card is super broken in them. This card is just too good of a counterspell with the added bonus of being able to remove a creature on the board. So I got a feeling that if they were to do anything about rogues, this would be it. This is way at the bottom. I don't think they're going to touch it. It's just not that important of a card to do this to. This is an honorable mention. They really are fine here. They can leave it alone. Our next card is Winona join our forces. She, along with our good friend that we just talked about, is one of those cases of where she is not problematic yet, but some bannings might lead her to becoming very more problematic. They've already gotten rid of her in Historic. There is no real combo yet in Standard with her, but if the Warrior deck keeps getting played, they might eventually slot it in. So again, they can wait on this one, but they might do it because it's an older mythic and they don't care about. Ember Cleaver, I've kind of gone down on the list because aggro mono red wise is very good, but not crazy. Red White Warrior equipment with Dissonant is brutal as heck, and you can lose before turn 5, which is usually what Redburn wants to do if you want to kill people by then. But getting smashed for like 12 or 14 in the face on turn 4 is not really fun, so I can see them running after this one. This is our number 4 candidate. Our number 3 candidate is Lucky Clover. Before they did rotation, they did Standard 2021. And this guy was head and shoulders above the rest. So they might preemptively do something about it. I don't think they should. Again, this is with Ember Cleaver and all this stuff. These are artifacts. This is an Ember Cleaver. You can disenchant them. You can return to nature. There is so much artifact hate. And people just have to realize that if these are the dominant cards, just run the hate. And these decks will just fold. This is number 3. Number 2. Is Lotus Cubra. He's problematic because of Fabled Passage, Evolving Wilds, and Escape into the Wilds. And Azusa Lost but Seeking, and the guy from Theros that makes all your lands into every single basic land type, and you can play an extra land. There's just so many things, and cultivate, and I can sit here and spend 5 minutes on this particular guy and all the land ramp. You don't want to hear it. You know how much land ramp there is in standard. And if they just cut off the big problem here, I could see him staying around and doing something with Ugin. Scooter mob is also a potential problem. But the scooters are 1-1 and there's lots of ways to deal with them. So I think we're fine. Thankfully with the scooters there's no divine visitation right now. Otherwise 4/4 angels would be terrible. Okay. Number 1 for standard. Oh my goodness, it's Omnath. Who would have guessed it? This card is the epitome of, like, super value. So, let's break it down. 4 mana for 4/4. The blue part says when he comes into play, you draw a card. Okay, sweet. White, when you play your first land, you gain 4 life. Cool. The green idea is you play another land, you get 4 mana. His casting cost. And finally, you play a third land, and the red effect happens and does 4 damage to your opponent and every planeswalker they control. This is really crazy in EDH because it hits all your opponents and all the planeswalkers you don't control. Like, I feel like the big problem with him is all the ramp. And they're not going to ban all the ramp. Like, that would just be crazy talk. And then the other big problem with him also is that his second ability of giving you the 4 mana should have been the third ability. And this should have been the second ability. Because, you know, it's just, you played Fabled Passage and Crack It. You knew Fabled Passage was in Standard. You reprinted it in Core, Wizards. So, you're literally saying you knew this was going to happen. So, you were okay on turn 4 cracking a land, getting a land, having 4, 8 mana, and then 4 more from... It's just... How did they even think this was fair? Like, I just don't get it. But if this was the third ability, it wouldn't be too bad, and you could just get rid of things like Azusa, and you probably would be fine here. Because Cultivate wouldn't even get you there, or Lotus Cubra just gets it out there on turn 3, which is just bonkers. But this is the number 1 card for Standard that has to go. You let it hang around for a month because you wanted to sell your packs, even though physical magic isn't a real thing. But it just has to go. This is just so long coming that it's got to go. And for Historic, this is card number 3. This guy in Historic is kind of crazy. Because Historic has the same problem Standard does right now. Tons of ramp. You just ramp out big things. And this is one of the big decks right now, is Ugin. He's just running around like crazy with a few sides of Ulamog. And it's just nuts. Like, I just, makes me so angry. They don't need to get rid of him, but I'm afraid that if they don't touch him, that he's gonna be a problem. Moving on to our number 2 problematic child, Skirek Prospector. I feel this guy is worse. Now, all these guys currently, I feel, are worse than all the ones we just talked about for Standard. I could see them banning Omnath and also Historic too, but I don't think they need to because there's so many other glaring issues. And this guy being able to sacrifice goblins to power out Molcrath really quick, the 6-cost jumpstart goblin, and Cranko, and then you just sacrifice lots of Cranko tokens to do more shenanigans. This sack outlet with having just to throw a goblin into is just crazy. On turn 4, I attacked with the 6-cost goblin from Jumpstart, and he was a 30-30. Like, come on. Like, be serious for a second. And finally, the number one card that has to go from Historic is Earl. Why is he still around in Historic? Why? Like, he should be gone from every format. Hands down, except for Vintage and Legacy. Doesn't need to be in Modern, Pioneer. He doesn't need to be in Standard. He doesn't need to be in Historic. He doesn't need to be in Theros Limited. He's just so good. Like, even if you just look at him as a sorcery, and you couldn't get this back, gain 3 life, draw a card, then play a land from your hand onto the battlefield. That is like one of the best. That is a solid ramp spell right there. And then you put on the fact that it's a 6/6 creature, and that you can get it back multiple times from your yard. Like, what are they thinking? I don't know. And then Brawl is the third format they're going to be addressing. I don't play Brawl. I don't know what they're going to do. Personally, I think it should be Historic Brawl. Anything in Historic is fine in Brawl. But I don't care what they do to Brawl. It's just dumb. They made it a rotational format, and it should not have been. As always, my name's been Draymore with the Wizards Arena. And this is what I think they'll be banning. We'll find out here shortly what they do. Shouldn't be that much longer. Probably going to be like 2 hours. 3 maybe. I'll see you guys in the next video. And we'll discuss what they did or failed to do. Because they seem to be failing on taking care of Standard. Even when they print really strong cards. I don't mind if they print strong cards. Because then Modern or Pioneer or Legacy gets cards. It's okay to give older formats cards. Just realize that you have to act quickly to make sure that Standard's not a terrible format. Like, if you're willing to admit that that's what's going on, then I don't think any of your players will have problems. So, this has been Draymore with the Wizard Arena on episode 5 of the Banhammer, and we hope you all had fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment below.